You're walking down a street, just an ordinary street, one you may have never walked before, and everything around you feels mundane, even gray. The asphalt, the wind, unfamiliar faces, the city's hum, the smells, they all blur together into a familiar, safe, unremarkable reality, where your thoughts drift somewhere far away, not attaching to any specific feeling, not catching on any vivid detail. And then suddenly, without warning, as if a switch flipped inside you, you feel it. This exact moment, from the angle of the light to the intonation of a stranger's passing phrase, has already happened. It's already been lived, already etched into the depths of your memory, already woven into the fabric of your life, even though you know, with absolute certainty, that it's impossible. And this sensation isn't just like a memory. It's stronger. It seeps into your bones, into the inner stillness, into the very root of your being. It paralyzes your thoughts, stirs a vibration deep within, as if your soul has touched its own echo. Like a tiny crack has opened between the layers of reality, and you're peering through it, not with your eyes, but with intuition, with ancient pre-verbal knowing that doesn't need explaining. You freeze, as if someone pressed pause on the world, and in that moment, everything inside you suddenly deepens. Sound becomes louder, light becomes softer, scent becomes richer, and the whole world, for just a second, comes alive in a different way, as if it's remembering itself along with you. And you stand there, stunned, because you don't know. Was it you who remembered the moment, or the moment that remembered you? Scientific books, articles, and clever people will confidently tell you it's nothing more than a glitch in neural processing, a minor brain error in which the present is mistakenly tagged as already experienced, creating the illusion of repetition, a quirk of perception, fatigue. And maybe you'll even want to believe them, because it's easier that way, more logical, more comfortable. But if it were that simple, then why do you feel like the truth touched you in that moment? A truth you can't explain, but also can't forget. Why does your heart start to beat differently? Why does your breath catch? Why does your soul, as if surfacing from a dream, begin to recall something greater than your current life? What if deja vu isn't a perceptual error at all, but the opposite, a moment of awakening, a fleeting signal from levels of reality you almost never access, but which exist nonetheless, right beside you, beside your choices, your thoughts, every yes and every no spoken in this life? What if, in that instant, you didn't feel your own memory, but the echo of another version of yourself, living in a different reality, on a different branch of time, where you've already walked this path, already made this turn, already lived this situation, and now your soul, for just a moment, heard a response from itself, but from another dimension? Maybe it's not just coincidence, but the memory of a soul that doesn't live in linear time like the body does, but exists across multiple layers at once. And deja vu is just a faint vibration when two of those layers briefly align, and you suddenly feel something impossible. The memory of a moment you haven't lived in this world, but have lived somewhere else. And if that's true, then deja vu isn't a minor glitch in perception. It's a window, a tiny crack in the veil of illusion, behind which all your other selves, other lives, other choices are hidden. And in that exact moment, you are closer to the truth than ever before, closer than in prayer, than in meditation, than in a dream, because it is pure recognition, because it is a touch of absolute knowing. And maybe what you call a strange feeling is actually an invitation, not an invitation to fear, but to remember. Because maybe deja vu isn't really the question, where have I seen this before? Maybe it's the question, who am I if I've already seen what hasn't yet happened? And if you ask that question, be ready, because the answer doesn't always come in words. Sometimes it comes in silence, and in the echo between worlds. You return to your ordinary life. Your legs move on their own, as if nothing happened. People still rush past you. The wind still rustles through the trees, and the city hums as if nothing has changed. But inside you, everything is different. Something trembles. Something stayed with you from that strange, impossible moment, like an echo that doesn't fade, but continues to resonate deep beneath your skin, somewhere in the very essence of being. You don't know what it is. You can't explain it, but you also can't reject it. And the more you try to forget the feeling, the stronger it pulls. It doesn't demand attention, yet it's always near. It doesn't scream, but its silence speaks louder than words. It doesn't insist, but it waits. Maybe déjà vu isn't just a sensory glitch. Maybe it's a metaphysical response, a moment when two worlds overlap, like projections in an old film, when you see a double exposure. The same scene, but from two different lives. And in that overlap, you don't lose yourself. On the contrary, you feel more whole. You feel like someone else is inside you. Still you, but different. The one who's been here before. The one who chose differently. The one who walked through this same scene, but with a different ending. And now, you feel their step within your own. It's a strange, almost magical sensation, as if you're not walking alone, as if your shadow is more than just a reflection, as if someone else is right behind you, close enough to feel their breath, and that someone is also you. From a different chapter of a book you've never read, from a life you've never lived, but one that still holds a piece of your soul. You don't hear their voice, but you feel their presence. Sometimes, like a faint vibration under your skin. Sometimes, like a sudden chill. And sometimes, like an inner recognition, almost like love. No explanations, no logic. Just knowing. You were there. You did this. You chose. And in that moment, you begin to understand. Déjà vu is not about the past. It's not about memory. It's about presence. About the truth that you don't exist in a single line, but in many. That your soul is like a prism. And now, you're seeing one of its distant reflections. And that glimmer, it's not just a beautiful coincidence. It's a reminder, a whisper that you are more than flesh, that you are deeper than experience, that you are eternal. And when reality suddenly shimmers, like the surface of water under invisible wind, you realize this is her, your soul, reminding you of herself. Maybe that's why all of this happens. So you remember, so you awaken, so you feel once again that you are alive. Not just here, but there, in a world only half a step beyond the edge of perception. Sometimes, déjà vu doesn't arrive as a brief glitch in perception, not as a playful flicker of the senses, but as the heavy breath of something ancient within you, as if you've stepped into a point where the world has shifted half a step sideways, and suddenly you find yourself between layers of reality, between moments, between the version of yourself you used to be and the one you're only just beginning to remember. This sensation doesn't ask for words, doesn't seek explanation, doesn't fit into logic. It echoes like a deep, low bell somewhere inside your chest, like a tremble with no physical cause, like a silence hiding a call too personal, too subtle to be spoken aloud. You can't say where this feeling came from, can't recall exactly when you experienced the same thing, but every cell in your body, every nerve, every impulse, suddenly starts acting as if you've returned to a place you've already been, to a point your soul marked for you long ago as sacred, as important, as the kind where something might happen. If only you don't flinch. It's in moments like these that something happens which the eyes can't catch and ears can't hear. The soul begins to speak to you, not in words, but in sensations, synchronicities, quiet revelations, in the language of inner knowing that needs no validation from outside because it doesn't come from the mind. It comes from the deepest place within you, where everything you've ever been, are, and will be, already lives. Science may say it's just a system glitch, but the soul knows. It's an awakening. A small one, tiny, almost invisible, but real. Like a beam of light slipping through a crack in a long sealed room where everything's been covered in the dust of forgetting. And now, in this almost random moment, you remember, for a heartbeat, who you truly are, even if you forget again right after. You don't feel it with your mind. You feel it with your whole life, that this moment is different from the rest, that it's filled with something you can't touch, but can feel. Like you just received a letter from yourself, from a distant past, or a distant future. And maybe it's in moments like these that your soul sends you soft reminders, beacons in the dark, because it knew you would forget. Because living in a body is a game where it's easy to get lost, and pain, and routine, and fear, and doubt. All of it can drown out the memory of who you are. But in the moment of deja vu, you touch yourself again, the one who's walked through centuries, through realities, through dimensions, the one who knows why you came, the one who knows what gifts are inside you, the one who knows what you must go through in order to become what you already are on another level. Maybe it's just a moment, but maybe it's the most important moment of the week, the month, the year. Because in it, a tiny window opens, a chance to remember your path, to remember your essence, to feel that you are not a coincidence, not a collection of habits and wounds, but embodied memory of the stars, a soul that came into this world for something great, even if you don't know it yet. And maybe deja vu is that secret little click, the one that cracks the shell of the dream, because every time it arrives, it's a chance to wake up. And when the soul whispers, "Wake up," it doesn't say it with a voice. It says it with love. Sometimes you experience deja vu not as a strange flash, not as a trick of perception, but as something far more intense, filled with inner meaning, as if you're standing on a thin line between two realities, and a single step, a glance, a word, even a mere intention carries far more weight than you could possibly realize. In those moments, you don't just recognize a place or a scene. You feel that you're standing at the edge of a choice that might seem insignificant on the outside, but inside it echoes like fate, like the shadow of a decision already made long ago. In another time, another life, another you, who perhaps chose differently, and left this trace for you to find. Deja vu isn't just the feeling of, "this already happened." It's an invisible fork in the road, a metaphysical pressure point where you either repeat the old path or open a new one. And the soul, which knows all these roads, sends a signal, not to scare you, but to pause you, so you can feel. Right now, you have the chance to choose differently. It's the moment when time seems to freeze, everything stills, and you don't hear a voice. You feel a vibration, and that vibration says, "You've been here before. You've already chosen. But now, you can choose again." Human life is filled with endless repetitions, familiar situations, the same emotional reactions, repeating loops where we lose ourselves, like a record stuck on one note. But deja vu isn't just repetition, it's the chance to rewrite, a moment when you hear the echo of who you could have been and who you still can become. Maybe you're standing before someone you've already known in a past life, and it's deja vu giving you a sign not to repeat the same pain or the same mistake. Maybe you arrive in a place that feels oddly familiar because something pivotal happened there once, a choice left undone, a lesson incomplete. And maybe you don't understand it with your mind, but your soul always knows, always feels, where it has walked before. And in deja vu, it gives you a chance to relive it differently, more consciously, more carefully, with open eyes and an open heart. But to do that, you have to stop. You have to stop running. You have to slow down and listen to what's happening not outside, but within. That strange flicker of anxiety, the slight chill across your skin, the sudden tightening of time. It's not a coincidence. It's something higher speaking to you in its own language. And if you listen, if you don't retreat in fear, you might sense a path that's not just logical, not just right, but yours. A path not leading to victory or failure, but to wholeness, to completion, to reunion with who you were, and who you are yet to become. And in such moments, deja vu isn't mysticism. It's a higher navigation system. It's the moment when, for the first time in a long time, you hear your inner voice, quieter than silence. And that voice won't hand you a map. It will hand you a compass. And what you do with that direction is entirely up to you. If you've ever experienced deja vu, not just as a strange sensation, but as an inner recognition, deep, inexplicable, almost sacred, then maybe you've already stood on the threshold of a great truth. Time is an illusion, created so that the soul can play in forgetting, so that we can learn by forgetting who we were and remembering it again through pain, beauty, love, loss, and inspiration. In this world, we're used to thinking in lines, past, present, future, but the soul doesn't move in a straight line. The soul always is, it always was, it always will be. It lives beyond time, beyond limits, beyond beginnings and endings. And that's why, in those rare, mysterious moments, when you feel deja vu, it doesn't tell you facts. It remembers itself through you. You are not just a human who ended up in this body, in this city, in this life by chance. You are consciousness, arriving from eternity, here to walk the path again, to choose again, to feel again what it means to be alive, and to awaken again. And deja vu, it's like a flash between layers of dream, where the soul knocks through the density of matter and says, "Look, we've been here before. You remember. Just trust." Sometimes that moment drifts past like a soft breeze, and you forget it as quickly as you felt it. But sometimes, it stays. It lingers. It returns in dreams, in thoughts, in another moment. And then you understand. It wasn't just a coincidence. It was a challenge, a clue, a sign, a key. And if you open yourself to it, if you accept that you are more than a body, more than a name, more than a story, you begin to feel how everything in life starts to arrange itself into patterns, as if reality itself begins to speak to you, gently but insistently. You start to notice signs. You start to hear the inner voice. You start to remember yourself, the real you. And then every deja vu stops being strange and becomes a point of connection, a bridge, a gateway, a revelation, and you are no longer the same. Because now you know, inside you lives not only memory, inside you lives eternity. And every time reality trembles, when a moment suddenly feels familiar, when the world seems to breathe deeper than usual, that is your soul speaking to you. And all that's left for you to do is listen.